That is amazing.
The sea is vast, deep, and full of mysteries, and not all of them are pleasant. Lurking in the depths are countless creepy critters, some of which are downright terrifying. From eerie basket stars to unexplained encounters, here are the 20 most mysterious and unidentified sea creatures ever discovered. Number 20. Basket stars. Upon first look, basket stars may seem like nothing more than plants. Some of them look like truly leafy creations, but we've already been fooled by things like that before. Others look like a wilted lot of stems blending in every direction. However, basket stars are actually echinoderms, and they're very much alive in the ways that matter. What they do is plant themselves in a place and then grow uniquely shaped appendages, waving them around in the water to see what they can catch. Yes, it really is that simple. Sometimes they'll catch small plankton, and other times they'll catch organic material that gets caught up in the current. It simply depends on the location. Other entities have no need to pay attention to them, and they live just fine as a result. Number 19. Colossal and giant squids. It seems like it may be time for a classic sea story of what fishermen of the past have looked upon in the water during their voyages. You all know the stories of the legendary kraken, massive tentacled beasts said to be so large and terrifying that they could sink ships with ease, sending sailors down to Davy Jones's locker. But when it comes to reality and truth, what the sailors of that era were likely seeing were giant or colossal squids. These fairly terrifying beasts from the deep were thought to be sailing myths until they began washing up on the shores of the world, revealing that we don't really know much about what's going on down there in the deep. To this day, we still don't know everything about these squids, but we do know they are two different species with two distinct body types. The colossal squid is the biggest in terms of mass, sometimes weighing almost 500 kilograms. They also have the largest eyes in the world today, measuring up to 30 centimeters. Meanwhile, the giant squid is the longest of its kind, with some reports stating they can grow up to 13 meters in length, if not longer. So, if one of these did come to the surface of the water to greet sailors, which is not guaranteed, you can understand why they thought they were about to meet their maker. Number 18. The anglerfish. We'll now go from a creature that many wish was real for one reason or another to a fish that many wish never existed for very primal reasons. The anglerfish. This is yet another sea creature with quite the range of depths that it can survive in. You can sometimes find it, if you're unlucky, near the ocean surface, or it may dwell 1,000 meters below sea level. Why does it have such a range? It's because of the many different types of anglerfish and how they tend to follow their prey depending on the seasons of the water, much like many other animals everywhere else. What makes them so terrifying is their looks, how they prey upon fish, and how they mate. First, let's talk about their appearance. Anglerfish are absolutely horrifying to look at, resembling actual sea monsters with razor-sharp teeth. If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know exactly why these fish made Marlin go from happy to terrified. Speaking of that scene, it takes us to how they catch their prey. They are ambush predators. The anglerfish has a special protrusion that comes right out of its head and glows. Depending on the depth, this could be the only light source around, which lures fish to it. Once distracted by the light, the anglerfish chomps down on them. Finally, and perhaps most disturbingly, is their mating pattern. Most species of anglerfish exhibit a severe size difference between males and females. Females can sometimes grow up to 100 centimeters long, while males are much smaller. So how do they mate? They fuse together. It's kind of disgusting and just goes to show that sometimes the animal kingdom is really messed up. Number 17. The firework jellyfish. Thankfully, this next sea creature is not scary. It's beautiful and unique. However, it's only beautiful with a little bit of help from humans. In this case, a research team was in the waters off the coast of Mexico, diving about 12,200 meters below sea level using a Nautilus submersible. First, everything seemed fine. Then, they shined a light and found themselves looking at a jellyfish. The light reflected off the jellyfish in such a way that it actually looked like its body was emitting firework. That's not only beautiful but also kind of crazy. Just look at it light up. The irony is that the now aptly named firework jellyfish does not do this naturally. It had to have actual light to create the effect. Because it resides in the midnight zone, only the ship's lights could help show off this beautiful display. Number 16. The giant siphonophore. This creature is unique in many ways, but let's single out one or two for this entry. First, with a length of up to 50 meters, it's the second longest sea organism in the world. But there's a twist. It's not a singular entity like every other entry on this list. Instead, it's a colony of creatures working together as one. Talk about having a hive mind. These creatures, known as zooids, are so advanced in their purposes that if they tried to separate, they would actually die. Each part is crucial to the whole, meaning they need each other to live. They are very good at working together, including emitting light to draw in their prey so that it can be consumed. What's even more fascinating is that each zooid in the colony has a specific job. Some are tasked with feeding, while others are responsible for propulsion or reproduction. The level of specialization among the zooids is so intricate that the colony functions like a single organism. This creature, often referred to as the siphonophore, can be found in the deep ocean, where its bioluminescent display is both beautiful and eerie. Despite its delicate appearance, the siphonophore is a skilled predator, using its stinging tentacles to incapacitate prey. Its discovery continues to challenge our understanding of what defines a single living organism, blurring the lines between individuality and collective life. Now it's time for today's topic. Japanese fishermen, known for their daring ventures into the deep sea, often spend days at sea, enduring the vast, eerie silence of the open waters. A few days ago, one such fishing boat embarked on a routine journey to gather their catch. It was the third night at sea when something extraordinary occurred. The calm of the night was shattered by an unusual noise, an eerie, resonant hum that seemed to come from the depths of the ocean. Intrigued and unnerved, the fishermen stepped out onto the deck with flashlights, scanning the dark waters. That's when they noticed a shadowy figure in the water, a form that seemed too large and humanoid to be any ordinary marine creature. It was motionless for a moment, its pale face faintly visible above the waterline, before quickly disappearing into the dark depths. One fisherman managed to capture a single blurry photo before it submerged. The image reveals what appears to be a human-like figure with long hair and an otherworldly glow, raising unsettling questions about its identity. Some on the boat speculated it could be a lost species, while others whispered about ancient myths of sea spirits or mermaids. As news spread, experts are divided, with marine biologists calling for further investigation and locals dubbing it a deep-sea ghost. The ocean, it seems, still holds secrets we are far from understanding. Number 15. The Greenland shark. At first, you may be surprised that a shark makes this list. After all, it's a shark, and sharks are everywhere and in numerous forms. So why would the sudden appearance of one shock people? Well, it's not because of its size or the fact that it may attack a human, it doesn't. Instead, it has to do with its lifespan. I'll ask you a question. How long do you think the longest living animals on Earth live? It's not an easy question to answer, and you may have to think about it. I'll grant you that. After all, we don't exactly know every species on Earth, and we don't constantly monitor them to see how long one lasts at a time. But in the case of the Greenland shark, if scientific analysis is accurate, these creatures could easily live between 250 to 500 years. That's a whole lot, given that we likely haven't even known about these sharks for 100 years, let alone 250 or more. How do we even know they can live so long? The estimate comes from the analysis of their eyeballs. There are crystals within them that can apparently accurately determine how long they've been alive. Now, obviously, we don't know how long they live on average, but if they truly live that long, it would make them the longest living vertebrates on the planet. They aren't small sharks either. They can be anywhere between 2 to 7 meters in length. Many have taken a shine to them over the years because they want to truly know how long they can live and if there are others like them out there. Just when you think we know all there is to know and admire about these sharks, they jump out of the water and go. Surprise! Number 14. The narwhal. The narwhal is easily one of the weirdest creatures in the world today, and it's all because of its horn. It's not actually a horn, though. It's more like a tusk. I say that because this is a toothed whale, with the tooth being the part that grows literally through its head and pokes out to an incredibly long distance. I mean, seriously, the tusk is over 3 meters long. But why do they have such a thing? Nobody really knows for sure. There's tons of debate about its function. Some researchers believe it's a sensory organ, packed with nerves that help detect changes in water temperature, salinity, and pressure. Others suggest it's used for social dominance, where males use their tusks to establish hierarchy within groups. Intriguingly, recent studies have shown that narwhals may engage in tusking, where they rub their tusks together, possibly as a form of communication or bonding. Equally curious is that it is one of the deepest diving mammals in the world today. Narwhals can dive as deep as 1,800 meters, holding their breath for over 25 minutes as they search for squid, shrimp, and fish. The creature is simply full of contradictions. These enigmatic animals continue to captivate scientists and nature enthusiasts alike, with each discovery raising even more questions about their mysterious lives. Number 13. The leafy sea dragon. No, this is not a full-on dragon that you can find and ride on. I would have beaten you to the punch if that was the case. The leafy sea dragon is a uniquely small creature that can only be found in the reefs and waters of Australia, alongside other sea dragon brethren. They're about 45 centimeters in length, and as the name suggests, they're able to blend in with nearby reefs and leaves because of their body shape. In addition to their camouflage, They are slow movers, drifting along with the ocean currents to avoid detection by predators. Their bodies are covered with delicate, leaf-like appendages that don't provide propulsion but serve as perfect disguises. Interestingly, leafy sea dragons lack the ability to curl their tails, unlike their seahorse relatives, making them vulnerable to strong currents. They are also known for their unusual method of reproduction, where the males carry the eggs on a specialized brood patch under their tails until they hatch. The leafy sea dragon sucks up its prey using its long, pipe-like snout and small mouth. Its favorite food is shrimp and sea lice. Sadly, despite being one of the most unique creatures you'll ever see, they are seriously in danger. Reef destruction and pollution kill them off, and people try to collect them, not realizing the delicate nature of their lives. Their dwindling numbers highlight the urgent need for conservation efforts to protect their fragile habitat and ensure these enchanting sea dragons continue to thrive. Number 12. The goblin shark. The goblin shark, which is just one of its many names, is another one of those sharks that will make you afraid to go into the water. The good news is that it doesn't get too close to the surface unless it's nighttime. Otherwise, it's one of the many deep-sea fish that's just fine with existing over 1,000 meters beneath the surface. The bad news is that if you do end up seeing this fish and watch how it eats, you probably won't be sleeping again for a while. Have you ever heard of the creature known as the xenomorph from the Alien franchise? You know how it had that little miniature head inside its mouth? Well, the goblin shark has a variation of that. It's able to project its mouth forward to catch its prey. The fact that it has dozens of teeth, both on the top and the bottom of its mouth, further enforces that it's a true monster. To that end, it's a creature that has apparently been around for over 125 million years, making it a truly ancient monster that has not yet learned the art of going extinct to save our mental sanity. Number 11. Japanese spider crab. For the record, I'm showing you creatures that have been identified more or less in some cases. But when they were first found by people, they were quite shocking to behold. An excellent example of that is the incredibly long beast known as the Japanese spider crab. If you think about the crabs you've seen in your life, well, it could be one you saw at your local seafood place, scurrying about in a fish tank until it was their time to be selected. Or maybe you saw one on the beach as you were relaxing, and it was just scuttling along, doing its own thing. Regardless, all of those crabs are small. Even the biggest land crab ever known is only about a meter wide in diameter. But if you were to go to Japan and feast your eyes upon the Japanese spider crab, you'd see it's much, much larger than that, thanks to its massive legs. If you measure the distance from tip to tip of its legs, it ends up being 3.7 meters, which is the largest for any arthropod in the world today. Well, that we know of, at least. In contrast, its main body is tiny in comparison, only about 40 centimeters at most. So it has a little body but massive legs, which makes it all the more fascinating. Despite being called crabzilla by fishermen, it's not all that aggressive. It's honestly been noted as being rather gentle, despite its intimidating presence. In fact, part of the reason for its coloring and overall texture is to blend in with its environment. You would think that blending in would be difficult at its size, but apparently it finds a way. One last curiosity is that this crab has quite a range of habitats. It stays in the water but can go from 50 meters to 600 meters below sea level. That may explain why it took so long to catch and be discovered. It seems to get around a lot. Number 10. The giant grenadier. Next up, we have a fish known as the giant grenadier. It's also known as the rat tail, for reasons that should be fairly obvious. The creature can be found all across the Pacific Ocean but prefers the northern waters, including the Bering Sea. Some have even been found in Mexico. Maybe they just like it there. Who am I to judge? What may be the most curious thing about the giant grenadier is that they don't have one unique body type. They actually have three, which is kind of odd, and one of them is only said to be a fusion of the other two, so you can consider that unconfirmed for now. Another fascinating detail about the giant grenadier is its exceptional adaptability to extreme depths, as it's often found as deep as 4,000 meters below the surface. They are known to live extraordinarily long lives, with some individuals believed to reach over 50 years of age. Despite their abundance, they play a crucial ecological role, serving as prey for various deep-sea predators like sablefish and halibut. Additionally, their high oil content and strong ammonia-like taste make them less appealing for human consumption, which has hindered their potential as a commercial fishery target. One of their most notable features is their oversized, haunting eyes, perfectly adapted for the dimly lit depths they call home. This eerie appearance only adds to the mystique surrounding these enigmatic creatures. Because of these unique traits, they continue to fascinate deep-sea researchers and oceanographers alike. Number 9. The blobfish. We definitely need a palate cleanser after that one, so let's have another look at a deep-sea fish that isn't so scary but has been dubbed ugly by those who have seen it in its unnatural form. This is the blobfish, and ever since it was brought to the surface and people saw its sad and grumpy face, they have been more than happy to poke fun at the creature. It's even been labeled things like an underwater Jabba the Hutt or the world's ugliest creature, which is just mean-spirited when you think about it. Your next question may be, why does the creature look this way? After all, I did mention its unnatural form. Not only is that true, but it's emphatically right. Here's the deal with this fish. It all comes down to location. Blobfish are deep-sea fish, part of the fathead sculpin family, and they mainly live off the coast of Australia, except they live in their natural forms over 1,200 meters below sea level. If you don't know, the further you go down from the surface of the water, the more pressure is placed upon you. Humans can't go that deep because they'd be crushed to death, and even ships have problems if their hulls aren't strong enough. Yet somehow, creatures like the blobfish are not only able to survive but actually thrive at that depth. So where does the shape-shifting come in? Well, simply put, someone was able to capture the blobfish and bring it to the surface. As the pressure got less and less, the blobfish's body morphed into the sad version of the creature you see. When it's in its natural form, it looks like any regular old fish. It's because it was unnaturally brought to the surface that it's gotten its ugly reputation, which is the fault of people and not the fish. Number 8. The gulper eel. If you look at this next fish, you may see a certain resemblance to a bird you know called the pelican. Indeed, this fish was first known as the pelican eel due to that fact. However, over time, it became known as the gulper eel because it's a bit more accurate as to what it does in the water. As you can see, this fish has a giant mouth, and that's not all that's big about it. When it's time to eat, it will not only open its mouth to see what it can catch, but it will also expand both its throat and its stomach so that it can handle whatever it gets. This ability allows it to consume prey much larger than itself, making it a marvel of adaptability in the deep sea. And yes, it will then gulp it down. Adding to its mystique, the gulper eel has a bioluminescent organ at the tip of its long, whip-like tail, which it uses to lure unsuspecting prey. Given this clearly advantageous hunting tool and body control, you might think it would be an apex predator for its weight class, right? Well, no. It actually has poor eyesight, isn't the best swimmer, and has to use other tactics to get its next meal. The light from its tail helps compensate for its limited vision, drawing prey closer to its gaping mouth. Perhaps that's why it evolved in such a way, to overcome its flaws while ensuring it could always gulp something down. Life finds a way, right? Oh, and if you're curious about the water it gulps, it actually expels it out of its body. It's a unique creature that proves just how creative evolution can be in adapting to life in the abyss. Number 7. The purple blob. Not to be confused with the blobfish I talked about earlier, this technically still unsolved discovery comes from 2016. Scientists off the coast of California's Channel Islands went into the water and found themselves looking at what could only be described as a purple orb or blob of some kind. When you look at it closely, you'd swear it looks like some kind of prism object with sharp points, almost like a crystal ball you'd find in a fantasy world. The orb was said to be 5 centimeters long, and scientists were quick to nab it before it potentially got away. Further analysis revealed an unusual, almost iridescent sheen on its surface, which only deepened the mystery. They did an immediate analysis and felt it was a kind of sea slug known to reside in the area. However, this raised another problem. It didn't quite match the known characteristics of any sea slug previously catalogued, leading to speculation that it could represent an entirely new species. While the sea slug they were thinking of is known for its colors, they had never found one in this shade of purple before. Adding to the intrigue, the orb displayed a strange, pulsating glow when brought closer to light, a feature not observed in its supposed relatives. Was it just a new offshoot of what had been found before? Or could it have been something entirely new that they misidentified? These are the mysteries that keep everyone coming back to the ocean. It's discoveries like these that remind us how little we truly know about the depths of the sea. Number 6. The barreleye fish. As we get into the top 10, I'm not going to slow down with the weird fish on display. Case in point, look at the barreleye fish. You may think this is some kind of science fiction creation, but it's real. This special fish has a partially transparent head and a set of unique eyes that can rotate to look through the top of its head or even look forward. This strange adaptation is thought to help it track prey like small fish and plankton that hover above it in the deep ocean. One reason for this unique trait is believed to be the lack of light within the regions where it lives. The transparent shield over its head is filled with fluid, protecting its sensitive tubular eyes from the pressure of the deep sea, while also enhancing its vision. It can shift its eyes upward towards the light to see the shapes and silhouettes of potential predators above it. Interestingly, its eyes are incredibly sensitive to even the faintest light, allowing it to navigate the pitch-black depths with precision. Scientists have also observed that the barreleye fish has small fins that allow it to hover in place with minimal effort, a critical advantage in conserving energy in an environment where food is scarce. As I've already shown you, creatures of the deep have to find ways to survive, and sometimes that means developing quite unique adaptations. With its alien-like appearance and ingenious survival mechanisms, The barreleye fish truly exemplifies the bizarre beauty of life in the abyss. Number 5. The deep-sea lizardfish. This next fish is not so much weird as it is just freaky. I mean, look at the thing. The deep-sea lizardfish is a special kind of bony fish that can grow up to 70 centimeters in length. Part of that length comes from their large mouth, which has many rows of teeth ready to chomp down on any prey it feels it can get. Its jaws are highly flexible, allowing it to open its mouth wide enough to swallow prey nearly as large as itself. In fact, the teeth of the fish are said to be like needles, designed to pierce their prey and ensure they don't get away. Adding to their terrifying arsenal is their sharp sense of sight, adapted to the perpetual darkness of the deep sea, allowing them to detect even the faintest movements. Deep-sea lizardfish are one of the world's deepest living apex predators and will not hesitate to eat anything they find, including their own kind. That's right, this thing is technically a cannibal. Scientists have even observed these fish lying in wait, camouflaging themselves against the seabed to ambush unsuspecting prey. That's how little it cares about what goes into its mouth. And with such ruthless feeding habits, it's no wonder they've earned their reputation as one of the ocean's most formidable predators. Number 4. The fangtooth fish. Now, I was hoping to get away from the freaky-looking fish, and yet here we have the fangtooth. Why do they all have to look like that? I mean, come on. What may surprise you, though, is that it doesn't use its big fangs to kill fish on sight. Instead, it waits for a smaller fish to get into its range, and then it inhales them into its mouth like a vacuum. The fangs are so large compared to its body that the fangtooth has special sockets in its skull to accommodate them when its mouth closes. That is definitely something disturbing. Adding to its menacing reputation is its dark, almost black body, which helps it blend seamlessly into the pitch-black waters of the deep ocean. The irony continues when you find out that, even at maximum length, they're not that big. They're at most 16 centimeters long, so they may look scary, but they're only harmful to fish smaller than they are. They've even been nicknamed the ogre of the deep, which is a bit much for such a tiny creature, don't you think? Hence the inhale cycle. If that's the case, why did it evolve to look so freaky? Did it just feel the need to be more intimidating for no apparent reason? I mean, stranger things have happened, right? Number 3. The black swallower. Would you like to guess what kind of special talent this fish has? Here's a hint, it doesn't have to do with its color. The black swallower is definitely one of those fish you look at and wonder, how in the world did something like that ever get created? Sadly, nobody has an answer, but it did happen. Taking one look at its body is more than enough to tell you that its talent lies in being able to swallow fish far greater than its body size, yet it has no issues digesting them. This ability is essential for its survival in the deep ocean, where food can be incredibly scarce, and meals often come in unpredictable intervals. What's even more fascinating, and a little terrifying, is that its stomach can stretch so much that it sometimes leads to its own demise if the meal is too large, causing internal damage. The black swallower feeds on bony fish, which it swallows whole, and with its greatly distensible stomach, it is capable of swallowing prey over twice its length and 10 times its mass. Scientists have even discovered specimens with prey still partially intact, offering a macabre glimpse into the fish's unusual eating habits. That is quite impressive. It's also horrifying in every single way, but that's not really the point. There are multiple creatures in the world that can eat above their weight, but this fish takes it to an entirely different level. We should all hope that other fish don't try to follow its example. Number 2. The spotted handfish. One look at the spotted handfish, and you may instantly think, something like this fish isn't normal. After all, it kind of looks like a mixture of multiple other fish all at once, almost as though it doesn't really know what it wants to be in the first place. The irony with this fish is that while it is one of the most unique fish out there, it's also one of the rarest because it is critically endangered. Adding to its uniqueness is the way it moves, using its modified fins to walk along the seafloor rather than swim like most other fish. It's a bizarre and fascinating adaptation that has captivated marine biologists for years. The spotted handfish is also highly selective about its habitat, favoring sandy and silty seabeds where it lays its eggs on stalk-like structures. Sadly, invasive species like the northern Pacific sea star pose a significant threat to its breeding grounds, further jeopardizing its already fragile population. One of the biggest reasons for the loss of life is because it's only endemic to one part of Australia. When you're that restricted, you risk harm to your numbers. Surely enough, between natural predation, environmental destruction, and pollution, its numbers are in trouble. Efforts are being taken to help balance things out, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes for now. Number 1. The axolotl. Finally, we have the axolotl, which is yet again one of the most unique yet highly endangered creatures in the world. It's unique because it's basically an aquatic salamander, the only one of its kind, in fact. Once its unique looks got out there in the world, its popularity began to spread like wildfire, which is why you see them in a lot of video games like Fortnite and Minecraft, or even as unique deities in series like Gravity Falls. The axolotl's carnivorous diet historically put them at the top of the food chain. They will eat anything they can snatch up, including mollusks, fish, and arthropods like insects and spiders. Plus, they also have an incredible regenerative ability that puts other animals to shame. This capability allows them to regrow entire limbs, segments of their spinal cord, heart tissue, and even parts of their brain without scarring. This makes them a valuable model organism for research, with potential implications for regenerative medicine and understanding tissue regeneration in humans. Unfortunately, axolotls are critically endangered due to habitat loss, pollution, and invasive species. Conservation efforts are crucial to their survival. Captive breeding programs and habitat restoration projects are currently being implemented to protect these unique amphibians. Despite their status, they're popular in the pet trade and aquariums due to their distinctive appearance and relatively easy care requirements. Axolotls captivate both scientists and enthusiasts alike, giving hope and curiosity to the study of life and regeneration in the future. Hopefully, they'll exist long enough for us to learn more about how they grew to be this way. That's it for our journey into the depths of the ocean and the incredible discoveries made over the years. Which of these creatures amazed you the most in terms of what was found and what it revealed about the ocean's mysteries? Can you believe such life thrives in the dark, under immense pressure, with incredible adaptations? Share your thoughts in the comments below, check out the other cool videos on the screen, and I'll see you next time.